Hey everybody, Jim Colba here from Savannah Colba Outdoors. Today I'm going to walk you through how I do my guide wraps with a trim band. So I've already got our guide layout done, our Fuji guides prepped, and I'm going to lay out a brown trim band. So what I want to do is take a piece of brown Fuji No CP size A thread, and I'm going to go ahead and add in one of my pull throughs. So I'm going to lay that out and tape it to the blank. Give myself enough room to start my wrap and just leave that like that. Alright, now I'm using, this is for a customer's build. We wanted a camo theme. So I'm using a Pro Wrap Tiger thread, also in size A. And this is a multicolor. It's actually black, green, with brown. So I'm going to figure out where I want to start my wrap. I always start just a little bit in front of the guide foot. I don't want to start too far. I think too much is unnecessary. So then I'm going to start my locking wrap. Jump that over there. And then I'm going to begin a few revolutions here. I usually go about 4 wraps. Now that's good and locked in. Okay. Now from here, I'm going to go ahead and untape my pull through and untape my trim band thread and unwrap that. It got wrapped around while I was wrapping those primary threads. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around 5 times, and this is going to be my trim band. I'm going to have a brown trim band that's going to start my wrap. So there's 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, now I've got a lot of thread there. I don't want quite so much to pull through. So cut that off a little bit. Stick that through the pull through loop. Like that. Now I'm going to try and hold that with one hand and pull through that tag end. Just like that. Now that tag end that I just pulled through, I'm going to keep a little bit of tension on that, and I'm just going to dress my brown trim band up. All right, so I'm just going to leave those tag ends out there hanging to the side for a moment. Now I'm going to continue my main wrap. And since I've prepped those Fuji guides nicely, and it doesn't take much, the Fuji guide feet are already pretty smooth transition right out of the package. They don't require much dressing. So now we've got a few more wraps on there. I'm going to take a new sharp razor blade. One thing that I also do is make sure you clean your hands and also clean your razor blades with a little bit of alcohol. They do come with a little bit of oil on the blades to prevent rusting and things in the package, and you don't want that cross-contaminating your threads and messing up your epoxy later. So all I'm going to do is just with a little bit of downward pressure, pop that thread. Comes right off. Come back around to my other tie off. You can also use a nice pair of scissors. Now, if you notice, I got a little puff of thread here. I'm going to take my pick and I'm going to kind of flatten those out. That way it doesn't leave a bump as I continue my thread wrap. Just kind of flatten that out. Just a little tip. All right, now I've got this wrapped about halfway up the guide foot. I want to get rid of that CRB guide tubing because the thread is now holding the guide foot. So I'm just going to touch that with my razor blade and it pops off out of the way. Do a couple more revolutions. Now it's time that I want to put back in my tie-off loop. Stick that underneath the thread. Now I want to wrap all the way up to the transition of the guide foot. So there's 3, there's 4. Oh, jumped over a little bit. Want to make sure your threads don't jump over on top. And that's good. Right up to the transition. Now at this point, I'm just going to hold the thread wrap with my index finger, take a little bit of the tension off, stick the tag end back through the pull loop, put some tension on it. I also hold with my finger here. Now at this point, there's a couple different methods that you can use. You can cut this tag end off. I'm actually holding tension with my pull loop. You can cut this tag end off if you've got enough overwraps. I like to pull mine all the way through. So I pull that right through. Now what I want to do is I want to cut my tag end off. Now what I don't want to do is cut this off and leave a bump that's going to be sticking up underneath my epoxy. So what I actually do here is I'll pull back against the threads and I'll leave a gap in between the threads. And we'll get rid of that later. So what I do is I pull that back against the threads, leave that gap, and then I'll take my razor blade and I lay it down parallel to the thread wrap. And I just pull the thread against the razor blade. I don't push the razor blade into the thread, and it cuts it off nice and it falls into that gap. Now I'll go back with my thread pick or burnishing tool, close that up, use the smooth side of the tool, burnish it up. And that's one side of the guide finished. And we just repeat the same process on the other side. All right, thanks for watching. If you got any questions, throw them down in the comments.